By default, an agent has no memory. Each invoke is a blank slate. It answers and forgets everything the moment it's done. That's fine for one-off tasks, but useless for a chat, an assistant, anything that should remember you. The fix is one argument, a thread ID. Give your invokes the same thread and the agent remembers across turns. Let's give it a memory. Here's the idea. A thread ID is the identity of a conversation. Every invoke you tag with the same thread ID joins that conversation, so the agent can recall what was said earlier on it. Use a different thread ID, and you get a clean, isolated session, a separate user, a separate chat, with no memory bleeding across. So you'd use one thread per user or per conversation. And a second argument, memory config, tunes how that memory behaves, how deep it goes, where it lives, and what it learns over time. We'll dig into that next. In code, it's two arguments on invoke. Pass a thread ID, here, Alice session, and a memory config with memory enabled and a level of focus. The first time, the user tells the agent something. The second time, on the same thread ID, you just ask. And because the thread carries the history, the agent already knows. No resending the conversation, no manual context stuffing. You pass the thread, mAIvn handles the recall. Now let's tune it. Memory config has two dials that matter most. The first is level, how deeply the agent recalls, and it's a ladder of 4. None turns memory off entirely. Glimpse is a light touch, just enough recent context to feel continuous, and cheap on tokens. Focus is a solid working memory, the balanced default for most assistants. And clarity is the deepest setting, pulling in the most history for the richest recall, at the cost of more tokens. So you move up that ladder when recall matters more than cost, and down when it's the other way around. The second dial is persistence mode, where the memories actually live. Persist none keeps nothing. Memory lasts only the current session, then it's gone. Vector only writes them to a vector store, so the agent can semantically search everything it has seen by meaning. And vector plus graph adds a knowledge graph on top, the entities the user mentions, and the relationships between them. So recall is structured, not just similarity. On top of those two dials, summarization keeps long histories compact, and the agent can extract skills it's learned and insights about the user. So memory gets richer the more you talk. Let's see it. On Alice session, turn 1, the user says their favorite color is teal and they work in Austin. The agent acknowledges. Turn 2, same thread ID. We just ask, what's my favorite color and where do I work? And it answers, teal, Austin, pulled from the thread's memory. Now the proof, it's scoped. We switch to Bob's session, a different thread, and ask the same question. No recall. It has never met this user. Same agent, two threads, two separate memories. Two things to remember. First, the thread ID is both continuity and a boundary. One per user or conversation gives each its own memory and keeps them apart, which is exactly what you want for privacy and for multi-user apps. Second, memory is managed for you, stored server-side, keyed by thread, and tuned with memory config. You pick the level and where it persists. mAIvn does the remembering, the summarizing, and the recall. To recap, a thread ID turns isolated invokes into a continuous conversation the agent remembers, and a new thread ID is a fresh, isolated session. Memory config dials the depth from glimpse to clarity, the persistence from session only to a vector store and a knowledge graph, and what gets extracted over time. It's how you build an assistant that actually knows its user. Next up, composition. Building one rich, deeply nested typed result with dependencies wired inside the model itself. See you there.